Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, India's defense minister speaks with his US counterpart, discuss progress on the roadmap for India-US defense cooperation. Two nations kick off tri-services exercise to boost capabilities for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. Israel's inter-agency team to visit the US to discuss Rafah, even as Netanyahu reaffirms his determination to launch an offensive during a call with Biden. European Union agrees on sanctions on Hamas' violent West Bank settlers. Campaigning for India's general elections gathers momentum. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold roadshows and public meetings in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Congress Working Committee to discuss party's manifesto. After a month-long exposition in Thailand, relics of Buddha to return to Delhi with full state honours on Tuesday. Large number of devotees offered prayers to the relics in Thailand. All right, with an aim to boost defense cooperation, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held a telephonic conversation with US Secretary of State Defence Lloyd Austin. Both ministers briefly discussed a range of bilateral, regional security and defense cooperation issues. The US Secretary of Defence appreciated the important role being played by the Indian Navy in conducting anti-piracy operations in the Indian Ocean region. And the two ministers discussed ways and means to implement the India-US Defence Cooperation Roadmap, which was concluded last year. Both the leaders also reviewed their recent bilateral events such as Indus-X Summit held in New Delhi in February 2024 and the bilateral tri-service exercise Tiger Triumph, which has also commenced in India on March 18, 2024. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Lloyd Austin had last met in New Delhi in November last year during the India-US Ministerial 2+2 dialogue. All right, DD India's Akshay Dongre is joining us on the phone line. Akshay, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held a telephonic conversation with US Secretary of Defence Lloyd Austin. Tell us, how crucial was it for growing momentum in major defence partnership?
Well, Abhishek, as far as the two countries are concerned, what we have seen in the past decade especially, is the fact that both of these countries, especially in terms of defense, have been growing their partnership. And this is visible especially with the kind of setups that government-to-government setups that these two countries, India and the US, have established, especially the 2+2 ministerial level dialogues. And the last dialogue that took place in November 2023 saw major announcements as far as the partnership between these two countries are concerned. And as the conversation between Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and the Secretary of Defence Lloyd Austin came in the backdrop of that, what exactly is the progress that is going on, especially given the fact that US has in fact had announced support for India's military modernization initiative to drive forward the US-India roadmap for defence industrial cooperation, as well as expanding maritime domain awareness in the Indian Ocean region. Now, what we are seeing right now, with the clouds of war, especially in the Middle East, and with India doing, or rather carrying out a range of activities, action against either the Somali pirates or the kind of attacks that have been going on against the merchant vessels by the Houthi forces, and especially the incident that we saw where India not only is providing assistance to the ships that are coming under attack, but also it just freed a ship from a Somali pirate merchant vessel ruin. So that's what we are seeing right now. And in the backdrop of that, India has become a major player as far as the Indian Ocean region and the Indo-Pacific is concerned. And to get more details as well as how to carry out better operations, both of these countries are expected to increase their cooperation.
Akshay, also Two leaders also applauded recent announcements accompanying the second India-U.S. defense acceleration ecosystem, and also, they expressed hope to have an opportunity to meet in person soon.
Well, what we can expect is the annual 2+2 ministerial level dialogue between the two countries as well. However, that comes later in the year, and that in all probability will be coming after the result of India's general elections have concluded and the results have come out and the new government has formed. But before that, yes, there may be a possibility if the leaders announce the date for the said event sooner. However, what we are seeing as well right now is the fact India's sheer art of diplomacy, because on the same day when the Indian government has been in fact congratulating the Russian President Vladimir Putin on his landslide victory, at the same time what we are seeing is India consistently grow its defense partnership with the U.S. So, in terms of diplomacy, you can see that this is some sort of an example which will be going in textbooks as far as how a country can manage relations with two extreme adversaries are concerned at the same time, on the same day, while having conversations with the defense secretary of the U.S. And congratulating the president of the Russian Federation. So yes, the two countries have a lot of potential, and these kind of engagements go on to show that it's only going to increase in the next few years.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for the inputs. All right, moving on to our next story now amid the telephonic conversation between India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and U.S. Secretary of Defence Lloyd Austin, focusing on strengthening defence ties between the two countries. Indian Navy extended a warm welcome to U.S. Somerset LPD-25 of the U.S. Navy to Visakhapatnam for exercise Tiger Triumph 24. The ship will be participating in the Tri-Services India-USA amphibious exercise Tiger Triumph 24 under the aegis of Eastern Naval Command. The exercise is aimed to further enhance interoperability and work towards a multinational model for missions in the Indian Ocean regions. All right, now let's get you the latest on what's happening at home in India as a build-up to the world's largest democratic general elections. So the Bharatiya Janata Party on Monday convened core committee meetings at the party headquarters to deliberate on potential candidates for various states for the upcoming general elections. The states of Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Haryana, Odisha, Sikkim, Maharashtra and Gujarat were discussed in the meeting. BJP National President JP Nadda chaired the meeting, while Union Home Minister Amit Shah and Party National General Secretary BL Santosh were present in the meeting. The Congress Working Committee will meet on Tuesday morning in New Delhi. The top item on the agenda is to approve the Congress manifesto for the upcoming elections. The Central Election Committee is expected to clear the candidate list for the first phase of the poll scheduled on April 19th. And campaigning is gaining momentum for the forthcoming general elections as leaders of various political parties have started holding rallies and public meetings to woo the voters. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a roadshow in southern Kerala's Palakkad. PM Modi will later address a public meeting at Salem to support BJP candidates in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. And the country's biggest startup Mahakumbh is being held in New Delhi's Bharat Mandapam to give global wings to India's startup ecosystem. And the aim is to ramp up India's startup ecosystem, taking it from number 3 to number 1 in the world. India is bringing in a new startup policy for the deep tech sector. DD India's Ajay Mishra files this report.
New Delhi's Grand Convention Centre, Bharat Mandapam, is holding this year's first mega startup event, India's Startup Mahakumbh 2024. Over 50,000 business delegates, more than 1,000 investors from India and abroad, Over 1,000 startup exhibitors and more than 500 incubators are participating in it. India has the world's third largest startup ecosystem, encompassing AI and SaaS, agri-tech, climate tech, deep tech and biopharma among 10 focus sectors. The Startup Mahakumbh runs from Monday to Wednesday and will showcase India's solutions to the world.
All of you must actually first become an AI company. First become an AI company and then do everything else. Reverse, re-engineer, completely become an AI company. That will make you transform. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This Mahakumbh, to my mind, is a great, great event. It really brings a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for India.
After the launch of Startup India, a fund of around $6.75 billion has been facilitated for startups. The government also has a fund of funds of $1.2 billion. Commerce and Industry Secretary R.K. Singh informed that a new deep tech policy is close to being finalized.
Government of India is in the process of creating a separate, dedicated deep tech startup policy. The policy paper is now in the final stages of discussion, of interministerial discussions, and we hope to bring it forward soon. And after that, we will hopefully move towards creating a dedicated a fund of funds again, since government wants to do it in an arm's length manner. We don't want to sort of start picking winners and losers in business, which is why we created this concept of AIFs and fund of funds.
Over $140 billion have been invested in India's startup ecosystem to date. More than 130,000 tech ventures are working on solutions for various problems. India is making every effort to take its startup ecosystem to a higher level through Startup Mahakumbh. The Startup Mahakumbh is likely to be organized every year. Over 5,000 new startup entrepreneurs are expected to emerge out of this event. In 2023, startup funding had fallen to its lowest levels in 7 years. Compared to $25 billion investment in 2022, only $7 billion investment was made in 2023. It's being anticipated that 2024 will see the return of big-ticket investments in India's startup ecosystem. ASSOCHAM, NASSCOM, Bootstrap Foundation and IVCA, in association with India's Ministry of Commerce, are organizing this Mahakumbh. It aims to give wings to the country's startup ecosystem on a global scale. Ajay Mishra's report, DD India, Delhi.
Rumendra Dev has thanked Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for rescuing the hijacked vessel MV Ruin from pirates which had Bulgarian nationals on board. In a tweet he said, and I quote, "My sincere gratitude to PM Narendra Modi for the brave action of Navy rescuing the hijacked Bulgarian ship Ruin and its crew, including 7 Bulgarian citizens," unquote. And the Indian Navy on Sunday released a video showing rescue operation carried out on Saturday. During the operation, the Indian Naval Forces, including Special Commandos, seized a cargo vessel, rescuing 17 crew members, while all the 35 pirates surrendered. The Navy spokesperson said maritime operations by India reflect their commitment towards reinforcing peace and stability in the region. And concluding a historic and spiritually enriching exposition in Thailand, the holy relics of Lord Buddha and his 2 disciples to be escorted back to their respective homes. On the last day of exposition of sacred relics, Ambassador Nagesh Singh with Thailand's Minister of Culture Sermsak highlighted significance of renewing spiritual bond between India and Thailand to realize Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of leveraging eternal consciousness of Dhamma for ushering century of Asia. Both convey deep appreciation, enabling millions of pilgrims from different parts of Thailand and its neighboring countries in Mekong region to pay obeisance to the holy relics from India. And on the last day of exposition of sacred relics in Karbi, thousands of devotees continue to visit Wat Mahathat to pay respects to the sacred relics of Lord Buddha and disciples Arahant Sariputta and Arahant Mahamoggallana. And another accolade for India's Chandrayaan-3. On behalf of ISRO, Deputy Ambassador of India and U.S. Sri Priya Ranganathan received the Aviation Week Laureates Award in Washington, D.C. The award recognized ISRO's extraordinary achievements in the aerospace industry, and the award noted Chandrayaan 3's landing at the lunar South Pole, its confirmation of the presence of water there, as well as the presence of sulfur nearby. Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft touched down near the lunar South Pole, making India the fourth country to successfully land on the moon. ISRO was also appreciated to complete this mission in just $75 million. Now let's take a look at other stories making news across India. India's Election Commission on Monday transferred West Bengal's DGP Rajiv Kumar, the Home Secretaries of Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand states, and the head of the Mumbai Corporation to ensure free and fair polls. India's Navy's remotely piloted aircraft crashed about 1 mile short of the runway during a routine training sortie at INS Garud, Kochi on Monday. According to Indian Navy, no injuries or damage to property has been reported, and an inquiry has been ordered to investigate the incident. India's Central Reserve Police Force is celebrating its Raising Day on Tuesday. It comes under Home Affairs Ministry of Indian Government. Coming into existence in 1939, it became the Central Reserve Police Force on the enactment of the CRPF Act on 28 December 1949. Luxury and vintage cars, motorcycles were at display in the Surat International Auto Expo 2024 that ended on Monday. The commercial vehicle giants including Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland displayed their range of vehicles. Moreover, an array of national and international brands also participated in the 4-day event. All that will slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. United States has confirmed the killing of number 3 leader within Hamas ranks in an Israeli operation. US and Philippines to hold bilateral talks reviewing economy and security situations affecting them. And Battle of Words continues in US election as Trump mentioned the end of US democracy if he loses 2024 elections.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Update now on Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel will send an interagency team to Washington to discuss a potential military operation in Gaza's southern city of Rafah. The decision was conveyed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the US President Joe Biden over a call on Monday. The two leaders also talked about the efforts to increase aid to Gaza.
We discussed the latest developments in the war, including Israel's commitment to achieving all of the war's goals, eliminating Hamas, freeing all of our hostages, and ensuring that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel, while providing the necessary humanitarian aid that will assist in achieving these goals.
And the call was the first between the two leaders since February 15th and comes amid sharp tensions between Israel and its most steadfast ally over Netanyahu's handling of the war in Gaza that followed Hamas' deadly October 7 attack inside Israel.
The President told the Prime Minister again today that we share the goal of defeating Hamas, but we just believe you need a coherent and sustainable strategy to make that happen.
The United States has confirmed the killing of senior Hamas leader Marwan Issa in an Israeli operation. The White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in a media briefing said that Marwan, the number 3 leader within Hamas ranks, was killed in an Israeli operation last week. Hamas has not officially commented on reports of Isa's killing so far. And the Israel Defense Forces on Monday confirmed that its troops killed senior Hamas operative during Monday morning's raid on Gaza's Shifa hospital. According to the IDF, Faik Mabdou, the head of the Operation Directorate of Hamas Internal Security, was armed and hiding inside Shifa complex, from which he was working to advance terror activity. The IDF confirmed that the Hamas leader was killed amid an exchange of fire during an attempt to arrest him. According to the Israeli forces, its troops recovered a cache of arms and a huge amount of money in a nearby room. And after weeks of disagreements, the European Union has reached a political agreement to sanction Hamas and violent West Bank settlers. The decision marked the first time that the EU's 27 member countries had agreed to sanction violent Israeli settlers, following in the footsteps of the US and the UK.
We discussed about the sanctions on Hamas, and we agreed also on sanctions to extremist settlers. It was not possible last Foreign Affairs Council. This time has been possible. A solid compromise has been agreed at the working level, and I hope that this will be continue until full adoption soon. But the political agreement is there.
Now, the US military destroyed 7 anti-ship missiles, 3 drones and 3 weapons storage containers in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The attack was in line with its determination to safeguard itself from the weapons that presented an imminent threat to merchant vessels and US Navy ships in the region. Meanwhile, the United Nations Maritime Shipping Regulatory Agency has expressed that Houthi attacks must ease for salvage of 2 vessels. It said efforts to limit environmental damage from a cargo vessel that sank after a Houthi missile strike and another abandoned during a fiery assault are on hold until attacks on the ships ease. The UK-owned Rubimar last month became the first vessel lost since the Houthis began targeting commercial ships in the Red Sea area in November. The bulk carrier, with 21,000 metric tons of fertilizer contained in its cargo hold, has been submerged in shallow waters between Yemen and Eritrea since late February. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will hold talks with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos on Tuesday. The US Secretary of State will also hold bilateral talks with his counterpart Enrique Manalo. During his meetings with Philippines leadership, Blinken is expected to reaffirm the United States' security commitments to the Philippines. The leaders of the 2 nations are also expected to review developments that affect the 2 countries' economy and security. And Blinken's visit comes ahead of a trilateral meeting in Washington next month between US President Joe Biden, Marcos, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. This is Blinken's 2nd visit to Manila since President Marcos took office in June 2022. All right, let's go across to DD India's Patrick Falk is joining us live from Singapore. Patrick, what's on the agenda for the Secretary Blinken's visit to the Philippines?
Well, as you mentioned, Secretary Blinken will be meeting with the Philippine president as well as his Philippine counterpart, Enrique Manalo. And what he's going to be talking about is clear. That is maintaining peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific and also helping the Philippines manage its territorial disputes with Beijing in the South China Sea. Specifically, we are told that Blinken will reaffirm Washington's commitment to the Philippines and their mutual defense treaty. And this visit comes just a week after US Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo led a business delegation to the Philippines and pledged to invest as much as $1 billion in the Philippine economy. As you mentioned also, these talks are really going to pave the way for this trilateral summit that's possibly going to take place in April between Japan, the Philippines and the US, and also to discuss some specific outcomes from those talks. And it's an interesting situation really here because, a lot of the tension that we've seen in the South China Sea has come about since President Marcos came to office and got closer to Washington, something that has angered Beijing. But its actions since then and its assertiveness in the South China Sea has very clearly pushed the two together. And now we're seeing a scenario where US allies are being brought closer together to coordinate efforts against China, if you like. And so this is exactly this opposite of what Beijing is trying to achieve, you might say.
Also, Patrick, they are expected to tackle, like you said, among other things, the escalating tension in the South China Sea. And tell us, what sort of reaction has there been from China?
Well, Beijing, as you can imagine, is certainly not happy about it. There was an opinion piece in the Global Times yesterday which said that Blinken's visit would take regional strategic confrontation to unprecedented levels. It was interesting as well, this phrase, strategic confrontation, which sort of suggested that so far the tensions that we've seen that have been escalating have been managed somewhat by Beijing. China also accused the Philippines of taking provocative actions in the South China Sea and of illegally entering its maritime territory, which it referred to as part of its historic rights. It's the territory that is under China's historic rights, which, as we know, has been overruled in 2016 by The Hague. Now, President Marcos notably said last week that the Philippines will do what it can to protect its maritime territory in the face of China taking increasing actions to annex it. So in a sense, the Philippines is calling for the US and its allies and the international community as well, really, to support its efforts to do so in the South China Sea.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Patrick, appreciate your time. Moving on to our next story now. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw firing drills by artillery units in the western region involving super large multiple rocket launchers. Still photographs of Kim watching the drills has also been released. Drills were aimed at testing the real war capabilities of 600mm multiple rocket launchers and improving the operators' combat morale and readiness posture. The report of drills came a day after Pyongyang launched several short-range ballistic missiles into the sea. First such missile test in about 2 months. And the United States and Japan on Monday proposed a UN Security Council resolution. The resolution underscores that countries should not develop nuclear weapons or any other kinds of weapons of mass destruction designed to be placed in orbit. Washington believes Moscow is developing a space-based anti-satellite nuclear weapon whose detonation could cause havoc by disrupting everything from military communications to phone-based rights services. Russia has previously said it opposes deploying nuclear weapons in space. Russia's defense minister has also denied it is developing such a weapon. The United States urged countries bound by the treaty not to place such weapons in space and also not to develop them.
The issue of outer space and the treaty governing it. Let me be clear. Any placement of nuclear weapons into orbit around the Earth would be unprecedented, dangerous, and unacceptable. States parties must commit to upholding our obligations under Article 4 of the Outer Space Treaty, and we must urge all member states who are not yet party to it to see to it without delay.
All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. As gang violence escalates in Haiti amid a political impasse, new leadership is underway as US hopeful for formation of transitional council. In addition to school students, series of with mostly women and children being taken. And we also tell you about a London-based street artist whose identity is unknown, but his artwork appears in a park in North London.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. India's Defence Minister speaks with his US counterpart, discuss progress on the roadmap for India-US defence cooperation. Two nations kick off tri-services exercise to boost capabilities for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. Israel's interagency team to visit the US to discuss Rafah, even as Netanyahu reaffirms his determination to launch an offensive during a call with Biden. European Union agrees on sanctions on Hamas, violent West Bank settlers. Campaigning for India's general elections gathers momentum. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold roadshows and public meetings in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Congress Working Committee to discuss party's manifesto. After a month-long exposition in Thailand, relics of Buddha to return to Delhi with full state honours on Tuesday. Large number of devotees offer prayers to the relics in Thailand. The voters in 5 US states are voting this Tuesday to choose who they want leading the Democratic and Republican parties in November's presidential election. It comes a week after President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump reached the required number of delegates to become their party's nominees. DD India's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Well, Democratic and Republican primaries will see voters in Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Kansas and Ohio go to the polls on Tuesday. No big surprises are expected, with both Joe Biden predicted to easily win the Democratic contests and Donald Trump expected to easily win the Republican ones. They are now the only real contenders in both races. And last week, they both clinched their respective parties' nominations after winning enough delegates. Since the start of primary season in the middle of January, different states have been voting, choosing the candidate that they want, leading the parties in November's election. This Tuesday, of the 5 states, Arizona will be the one to watch. Biden won the state back in the 2020 presidential election, becoming the first Democrat in nearly 25 years to win the Southwest state. Turnout and results could provide some indication which way the state is leaning ahead of November's election. However, with the Biden-Trump rematch looming, opinion polls continue to show it's a rematch that most voters don't want. Some Americans think that Biden, at the age of 81, is too old to run for re-election, while others think Trump's legal troubles and his upcoming criminal trials should disqualify him from having another shot at the White House. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And US Republican candidate Donald Trump said if he does not win November's presidential election, it will mean the likely end of American democracy. Speaking at a campaign rally in Dayton, Ohio to support Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno, Trump repeated his criticism of the Biden administration's record on migration, warning his audience that criminals from the Congo were now arriving in the US.
They're sending from all over the world, not just South America, Latin America. They're sending them from Asia. They're sending them from Africa, the Congo. They're coming from the Middle East. If this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country. Does that make sense? I don't think you're going to have another election in this country if we don't win this election.
The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday denied a request by Donald Trump's former aide Peter Navarro to avoid prison while he appeals his contempt of Congress conviction for defying a subpoena from a panel that investigated the 2021 Capitol attack. Navarro, who served as trade advisor during Trump's presidency, is set to become the first senior member of his administration to be imprisoned for actions related to the attempt to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss. Navarro is slated to arrive at a federal prison in Miami to begin serving a 4-month prison sentence. And President Joe Biden signed a new executive order on Monday that expands U.S. government research on women's health while pledging $200 million next year to better understand issues including sexual and reproductive conditions. Biden is also ordering his administration to report on progress they are making to erase gender gaps in research and to study how to use artificial intelligence to improve women's health research. Biden told a room full of women, including actress Halle Berry and former California First Lady Maria Shriver at the White House, that he is going to make sure women's health is prioritized across the government.
Sure, the women's health is integrated and prioritized across the entire federal government. It's not just in women's health, not just at NIH, the National Science Foundation, the Defense Department, the Environmental Protection Agency. I mean, across the board, this is really serious. And I will spearhead new research and innovation for breakthroughs in a wide range of women's health needs, and that you experience throughout your lives, because it really matters.
The United States is hopeful for the formation of a new transitional ruling body for violence-ravaged Haiti. State Department Deputy Spokesperson said Haitian stakeholders are very close to finalizing membership to the Haitian Transitional Council and remain in active discussions with the leaders of Caribbean community. The decision to set up a council was taken March 11th at an emergency meeting attended by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced last week that he would step down once the council, made up of 7 voting members and 2 observers from different political coalitions and sectors of society, was in place. As tensions escalate and gangs tighten their grip in Haiti, 10 more people were killed in a suburb of Haiti's capital. The bodies of the victims who had been shot were removed from the main road leading into the suburb and from outside a gas station. This comes amid an escalation in gang violence amid a political impasse that saw the United Nations as well as U.S. and Canadian embassies withdraw staff in recent days. Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced his resignation pending a temporary replacement. The council set to choose his replacement has yet to be appointed. Meanwhile, the capital has been paralyzed as fresh attacks broke out late last week, including a fire at the main prison that days earlier had been emptied of prisoners and the residence of the National Police Chief. In Dominican Republic's security on the northwestern border with Haiti remained high on Monday as violence is still on the rise in Haiti. Dominican soldiers guarded as Haitians hoping to go to Doordarshan by National Market queue to enter the country, going through biometric checkpoints. An escalation in gang violence brought regional leaders to put forward several political associations set to participate in a transitory presidential council after Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced he would resign. At least 87 people have reportedly been abducted by gunmen in northwestern Nigerian state of Kaduna. Kaduna police spokesperson and residents who were confirmed the incident said women and children are among those taken. The latest incident comes as security continued to search for nearly 300 school students kidnapped over a week ago in the same state. DD India's Ajak Mangut reports from Nigeria.
According to the chairman of Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State where the abduction took place, the gunmen stormed the community late on Sunday, taking away many residents. It's the latest in a series of kidnappings in the state in the last 2 weeks, leaving residents in fear and panic. Nearly 300 students who were kidnapped by gunmen from their school on March 7th are yet to be found. The gunmen have threatened to kill them unless a ransom of over $600,000 is paid, but the government has said it will not pay a dime. Nigeria's defense minister said on Monday that all those behind the kidnappings and attacks in Kaduna and other states in the northwest zone would soon be apprehended. Security has deteriorated in Nigeria since early this year, which experts have partly blamed on current economic challenges. The country is dealing with an insurgency from Boko Haram militant group in the northeast, attacks by gunmen known as bandits in the northwest and central parts of the country, as well as separatist agitations in the southeast. Just last week, 16 Nigerian soldiers were killed in an ambush after they attempted to quell community clashes in the oil-producing southern Delta state. Residents in the area say the army carried out reprisal attacks and ransacked and burned homes in the area, but the defense chief denied military involvement. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has directed the Chief of Defense to investigate the incident to ensure that those responsible for the attack face the full force of the law. Ajak Mangut in Abuja, reporting for DD India.
And unions and leftist groups led a march in Argentina on Monday to protest President Javier Milei's government cuts on social spending, which resulted in face-offs with the riot police. In Buenos Aires, the raid police confronted the march, blocked roads, spraying tear gas and impeding them from moving forward. Argentine Security Minister Patricia Bullrich announced on December 14th that force will be used to remove protest blockades, just days after the new government announced tough austerity measures. Milei, trying to control rampant inflation, has implemented austerity measures, including painful cuts to state spending, trimming subsidies and pruning the public sector. And it has been 100 days since the ultra-reformist libertarian Javier Milei became the president of Argentina. Milei took office warning things would get much worse for Argentines before they get better.
Argentina's President Javier Milei started out by devaluating the peso by 54% and removing price controls. These measures, along with the removal of fuel and transport subsidies, have seen Argentines' purchasing power plummet, causing a slowdown in consumption and economic growth. After some time now, monthly inflation is starting to cool. Milei came to power with high on reforms and transformation of his country. Once in office, he cut the cabinet in half to 9 ministries, slashed 50,000 public jobs, suspended all new public works contracts, while subsidies on fuel and transport were also taken back. The government has boasted its first budget surplus in over a decade and has won the approval of the International Monetary Fund, which has a $44 billion credit program with Argentina. However, Milei hasn't been able to push through his ambitious economic reforms. Opposition in Argentina's Congress, where Milei's La Libertad Avanza party does not command a majority, and the Senate have stalled the president's reforms. During a speech to world leaders in Davos in January, he took aim at socialism, radical feminism, the agenda of abortion, and social justice. He flew to Rome to meet with Argentine Pope Francis, with whom he reconciled, and met with former US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of a conservative conference. Milei also paid a visit to Israel. Argentina's President Javier Milei has been in office for about 3 months now. Though inflation has dropped, poverty remains on the rise, and his track record so far divides opinions.
Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Banksy, the London-based street artist whose identity is unknown, confirmed that an artwork that appeared in a park in North London is his creation. Banksy confirmed through a social media post where he uploaded pictures of the mural. It shows green paint sprayed on a wall behind a cut-back tree to look like foliage, with a stencil of a person holding a spear next to it. And hundreds marched through the streets of Banjul, Gambia, in support of a bill that would repeal a ban on female genital mutilation, a practice that has been on the rise in the region. Lawmakers presented the repeal bill earlier, arguing the ban violates citizens' rights to practice their culture and religion. If passed, Gambia would become the first country to reverse a ban on FGM. Britain's Royal Mint launches new Star Wars Millennium Falcon coin. The Starship is the first in the new 4-coin series dedicated to the Star Wars franchise's iconic vehicles. The Royal Mint to also launch its first bullion bars inspired by the Star Wars galaxy in time for Star Wars Day on May 4th. Hundreds of revelers indulge in playful fight to celebrate Greek festival as they celebrate the old carnival tradition in Greece by throwing tons of tinted cooking flour on each other. The annual event in Galaxy D marks the end of the carnival season. The tradition is believed to have evolved from the 19th century. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Real Madrid slam La Liga referee for not reporting abuse against Vinicius Jr. Nottingham Forest deducted by 4 points for overspending and drops into relegation zone. And we'll show you the visuals of the Indian Army making their way indomitably in freezing temperatures. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek. Wall Street's main indexes advanced on Monday with mega cap growth stocks such as Alphabet and Tesla supporting a rebound in technology. All right, we'll come back to this story. Investors were torn between enthusiasm about the prospects for AI on the technology sector and worries ahead of the Federal Reserve statement and commentary on Wednesday, according to Lindsay Bell. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 gained 0.63%, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.82%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.19%. And the owner of Kinugawa, a century-old luxury traditional spring-in brand, grapples with mounting interest rates. After approximately 30 years, the market value of the spring-in brand has significantly slipped over the recent years. Kinugawa was hit hard when Japan's economic bubble busted when COVID-19 kept tourists away. The town's ryokan industry is trying to recover, but to do so, funds are needed to rehabilitate the aging buildings. The owner of the Kinugawa worries about the interest prices surge by calling it an extraordinarily difficult problem. All the time now for some sporting action. We'll start with hockey. Hockey India names 27-member Indian men's hockey team for the Australian tour. The team will be led by Harmanpreet Singh and vice-captain by Hardik Singh. The first match of the Australian tour will take place on 6 April in Perth, Australia. And the tour will also be a litmus test for the team in their preparations for the Olympic Games in Paris 2024. Chief coach Craig Fulton has opted to go with the almost entire core group in order to give players optimum chance to showcase their potential before the final 16-member team is selected for the Paris Games. The Indian team will leave from New Delhi on 1st April and will return on 15th. From hockey to football now, Real Madrid have filed a complaint against the referee who handled the game at Osasuna on Saturday for not including alleged racist insults aimed at their forward. Vinicius Jr. in his match report, the club said in a statement on Monday that 23-year-old Brazil international who scored twice as La Liga leaders Real won 4-2 at the Al Sadar Stadium has been subjected to racial abuse on several occasions in Spain. Real have also extended the complaint they filed with the state prosecutor's office on Friday over hate and discrimination offences after alleged racist chanting by Atletico Madrid and Barcelona fans directed at the Brazil forward. An English Premier League side, Nottingham Forest, have been deducted 4 points for financial breaches on Monday. They have become the second Premier League club to be deducted points for breaching profitability and sustainability rules, plunging the team into the Premier League's relegation zone. Nottingham Forest is expected to appeal against the sanction imposed by an independent commission. DD India's Oli Barrett reports from London.
Well, the Premier League says that Nottingham Forest have had an immediate points reduction applied to them. It's for breaching the league's profitability and sustainability, or PSR, rules for the period ending at the close of last season. The club had admitted going over the level of permitted financial losses by around $44 million. But Nottingham Forest had argued there were extenuating circumstances related to the transfer of Brennan Johnson. He was sold for about $60 million in September 2023 to Tottenham Hotspur. That was past the PSR accounting deadline of the 30th of June. The club said they were acting in the interests of being sustainable and responsible by holding out for a higher transfer fee than what was on offer in June. It means that Forest drop below Luton in the Premier League relegation zone. The deadline for any appeals process to conclude is the 24th of May, which is 5 days after this Premier League season is due to finish. Nottingham Forest are the second club to be penalised for PSR breaches after Everton. They were docked 10 points in November, only to see that reduced to 6 points on appeal. I'm Oli Barrett in London, reporting for DD India.
And professional boxing legend Floyd Mayweather Jr. on Monday said he's eager to participate in an exhibition fight in India this year. And the possibility of an opponent from the host nation cannot be ruled out. The 47-year-old former boxing champion boasts of a perfect 50-0 record in the professional circuit, which includes 27 knockouts. Before ruling the professional circuit, Mayweather enjoyed a successful stint in amateur boxing, winning a bronze medal in the featherweight division at the 1996 Olympics and 3 U.S. Golden Gloves championships. Argentina captain Lionel Messi is out of this month's friendlies in the United States due to a hamstring injury, the country's FA said on Monday. The 36-year-old suffered the injury while playing for Inter Miami in team's 3-1 home victory over Nashville in the CONCACAF Champions Cup last Wednesday. Messi is the latest absence for Lionel Scaloni's side following injuries to AS Roma forward Paulo Dybala, Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Ezequiel Palacios and Bournemouth defender Marco Senesi. Argentina will meet El Salvador at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia on Friday and Costa Rica in Los Angeles 4 days later. The CONMEBOL reopened its South American Soccer Museum on Monday in Paraguay. The new museum, which was originally opened in 2009, is dedicated to the history of the sport in the region. The venue brought justice to South American soccer, said CONMEBOL President Alejandro Dominguez. One of the museum's main attractions are a set of statues of soccer superstars Diego Armando Maradona, Pele and Lionel Messi. All right, now we bring you the visuals displaying the indomitable spirit of the Indian Army in freezing weather. Indian Army in its tweet shared a video stating, "When everything freezes, it is only courage that flows through." Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.